Hello, everyone, and welcome to Midday Q&A with Susana Briscoe-Alba. I am looking forward to connecting with y'all today. Today's live stream's purpose is to answer your questions that you submitted over the weekend surrounding all things career, what to do, what not to do, where to go, when not to go. How do you know when it's time? All of the things. And so I'm looking forward to connecting with y'all today to kind of share just my insight and my thoughts surrounding that. But as you are coming into the room, if this is your first time, please let me know that this is your first time by dropping a 1 in the chat and telling me where you are from. And if this is not your first time, if you are part of this tribe, I want you to drop a 2 and tell me where you are from. Hi, Jenny Figueroa. How are you? Somebody said, I finally made it to alive. I love it. I love it. So tell me where you are joining us from. If this is your first time, drop a 1 in the chat. If this is not your first time, if you've joined me several times for a live and you are part of this tribe, I want you to drop a 2 in the chat and let me know where you are joining me from. And if you are catching this on the replay, friends, then comment #replay and let me know that you are here. I'm looking forward to connecting with y'all today. Y'all had some really good questions. And so I see Texas is in the building. I see Toronto is in the house, Fort Lauderdale, Colombia. Let me see, Puerto Rico, Georgia is in the building, Orlando. Listen, if you are a 2 and you have been rocking with me, can you help me welcome the ones and encourage them? Let them know that they are about to get a whole lot. Okay. You're about to get a whole lot of information here. And I hope that it is transformational for you and that it is helpful. I see Rwanda, Kazakhstan, Ohio. I'm actually going to be in the state of Ohio. I'm going to be in Columbus, Ohio, speaking at the Women in Banking conference. I am so excited to be able to be doing that. I'm also going to be in Sunbury, Pennsylvania, where I'm going to be speaking and teaching and sharing. I will be giving the keynote for the Women's Chamber of Commerce business group that they have there. So I am really looking forward to the months of October and November. If you are in any of those areas and you would like to connect with me, man, make sure that you come and visit, say hello, and encourage somebody to join you. So we're going to get into your questions. I'm going to be in Ohio, Columbus, Ohio, at the Women in Banking conference. And I'm going to be in Sunbury, Pennsylvania for the Women in Business Chamber of Commerce conference that they are going to be having there. And then I'm going to be in Indianapolis in November. So if you are in the Indy area, I'm going to be speaking there as well. So listen, before we even get started, make sure that you are on my newsletter, because if you are not on the Hey Sis newsletter, you're going to miss out the opportunities to meet me and see me in person. And I really want to be able to meet y'all and see y'all in person. I think that there's something just so special that happens when we can do that. So listen, I'm saying a whole lot, but I want to be able to connect with y'all and share, just answer some of y'all's questions. Also, if you are joining me, tell me where else I should go. Like, where else should I be looking to speak? So my moderator has also joined the conversation. So Sharice Buchanan, who is one of our career strategists, is in the building. She's going to be helping me answer some of your questions in case I miss them. She's going to be letting me know, Susana, make sure you connect with this person. Sharice, listen, if you're talking to Sharice in the chat, it's like talking to me. I promise you, if not better, okay? Because there's one of the things about me as a leader, I try to hire those who are smarter, better, faster than I am, so like that they can serve my people well. So, and Sharice is one of those individuals. So some of y'all are telling me where to go. Come to California, come to North Carolina. Hey, cuz, hi, sweetheart. How are you? My family is on too. Okay. All right. So let's get into subject matter material. One of the questions that I got over the weekend was, how do you address a significant work gap on your resume? In the case of this individual, they have had a 10-year gap on their resume due to health reasons, which is private and personal. And the other thing is that In that 10-year gap, they've earned 2 degrees. So I'm gonna stop you right there. Somebody said cousin's handsome. Listen. I'm gonna let y'all figure that out. But anyway, this individual has a 10-year gap, and they earned their degrees during that 10-year gap. So how do you address that during an interview? I would say if you have a gap that large on your interview, man, speak about what you've earned in that time frame. It would be one thing if we were on an interview, we were having a conversation, and I was trying to hire someone, and they told, I see the significant gap, but if you can speak to the degrees that you've earned, to the skills that you've earned, how they relate to the position that I'm interviewing for, why you would be a good fit based on your now skill set, like all of those things become really important, and you have to be able to articulate your value. I think one of the things that we are missing, especially as a interviewer, one of the things that I miss is you being able to share your story in a way that brings about conviction, but also in a way that is valuable to why I am hiring for this role. So if you're a note taker, this is what I want you to pay attention to. Number one, we are hiring because there is a problem. Number two, you need to position yourself as the solution to said problem. I'm going to say that again. Okay. Number one, we are hiring because there is a problem. And the problem is that we have a vacancy. And the more time that this opportunity or this position stays vacant, the more that we're wasting money because now we're running behind. Okay. So you're the solution to a problem. Okay. So if we are hiring, it's because number one, we have a problem. And number two, you need to position yourself as the solution to the problem. So even if you have a 10-year gap, the best way that you can position yourself as the solution to said issue is that you can speak to how the skill set that you have and all that you have acquired helps to alleviate that problem. Not only are you going to alleviate the problem by being hired into this role, but secondly, you're also going to add value and drive the company forward. Okay. So that's how I would position yourself in efforts to be able to articulate your value and also come across with conviction. This person also said, I'm an introvert, so any guidance is appreciated, especially for my folks who are introverted. Okay. For my folks who are introverted, I want you to be aware of the fact that your introversion can really be your secret weapon if you lean into that a little bit. I think one of the things that our introverts struggle with the most is that you're constantly being told, oh, step outside of your comfort zone. You should do this, or you should go over here. And like that is physically and mentally exhausting and draining for my introverts. And so lean into how when you are in that area of introversion and focus, lean into and share how that helps you to do the job not only well, but to do the job with excellence. Okay. So I hope that answered your question. Jamie from California, my love, thank you so much for submitting your question. Let's see. I have another question here from Denise. Denise is from Florida. Hey, friend. Denise is from Florida. She says, I get very nervous during interviews. When I get the question, where do I see myself in 5 years? I never know the correct answer. How do you answer that question? Okay. So here's the thing, Denise. And for those of you who get nervous during interviews, let's do a quick poll. How many of you, when you go into an interview, you get nervous to some degree? Some of y'all may get like really shaky, and like you stutter over your words, or some of y'all, your palms get sweaty, and like you go in there with everything that you know you want to say, but somewhere down the line you forget what your first name is and all this other stuff. If that is you and you get nervous during an interview, I want you to drop a 3 in the chat. I want you to drop a 3 in the chat, and I'm going to get some water because it's important to hydrate. But yeah, I'm seeing a lot of yes. A lot of y'all get very nervous. This is the reason why I tell you to focus on your story. Because at the end of the day, no one is going to be able to share your story better than you. And as a coach and as a career strategist and as a CEO, I want what my clients want for themselves. I want what my staff wants for themselves. I want what you want for you. But if you're not clear on what you want for you, it gets really difficult for me to be able to help you or for any of our team members to be able to help you. Because I can't tell you how many people join a call with us or they book a call with us and they just are like, hey, listen, y'all the expert, help me find a job. Okay. Well, what industry do you want to be in? I don't know. Okay. Well, what skills do you possess in this area? I don't know. Okay. I want to follow my passion. Okay, what's your passion? Underwater basket weaving. Oh, okay. Well, the last time that I checked, there are not very many high paying roles in underwater basket weaving. So I can't pull like magic out of a hat. Okay. And the next thing is, I can't find you a job if you don't know where you are at. And so when you are going into an interview, I want you to be aware of um, you need to be able to speak to how this role is a good fit for you based off of where you are right now. So when we ask you questions like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I don't like, you could see yourself orbiting the moon in 5 years. But when you get that type of question, speak about how this role at this organization for this time that I'm applying for it is the reason why I see myself here in the next 5 years. So it can sound something like, in the next 5 years, I can see myself growing into a leadership position or expanding in another area that is tied to my weakness that now no longer is a weakness, but now has evolved into a strength. Ooh, when you are able to talk like that, that gives me the understanding that you as a candidate have vision. Vision not only for yourself, but vision for where you want to go. And so when you get on a call with one of us or you sit through an interview and we start asking you questions and you don't know where you want to go, then likely you're going to struggle in trying to find what your next opportunity is. Okay. So I want you to pay attention to what is it that I want for me in this role? Like, why are you applying for this position outside of the paycheck? Because let's be for real. The reason we applying is because we're trying to get paid. Okay. But outside of that, why are you applying for this position? What makes you stand out from the rest of the candidates that are in this role or that I have interviewed for? And the reason that this becomes really important is because I think a lot of candidates are trying to formulate their answers based off of what the interviewer wants to hear. When in truth, I don't necessarily want you to tell me what I want to hear. I want you to tell me what is true to who you are. Okay. Now, in one of my previous lives, I told you how to do that without oversharing, because that's a whole nother topic. Because as you get nervous, y'all start to overshare. Okay. And so we want to be very specific and very intentional about what we're sharing, how we're sharing it, and how it relates to the position. So when you are at the interview table and they ask you, can you tell me about yourself? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Why are you a good fit for this role? You have to know where you are at and how this position or this company is a good fit for you. Because as much as they are interviewing you, you should also be interviewing them. If you're a note taker, I need you to write that down somewhere. As much as they are interviewing you, you should be interviewing them. Some people talk a good game, and then once you get in there, it is not at all what you were sold during an interview. So you need to be strategic in your questions. All right. Let's see. Who else? Okay, so Millicent is reaching out from Italy. Hey, friend. And she said, I'm in the recruiting process. And I am interviewing for a company that I really would like to go and work at, but they've told me that the salary is non-negotiable. I earn slightly more than what they're offering me in the role, and the role is more of a senior level position. How should I deal with this so that I am not dropped out as soon as the recruiting process starts? So I would say, how many of you, okay, let's again do a temperature check. How many of you are actively looking for a new position? And when it comes to salary negotiation, you just get like, you don't even know where to start. You just know that you want to make more money. You just get to a place where it's like, no, I need to make more money. Um, but you've not necessarily considered all of the aspects of what goes into a total compensation. So this is going to be repetitive for some folks, but it really is important, especially if you are in the process where you're interviewing. They've already told you the salary. You're probably already working with a recruiter. Um, I need you to be aware of the two differences. Okay. The first thing is there is a total compensation package and there is your salary requirement. Okay. So you need to have conversations surrounding, and then the third piece before I continue going, the third piece is what is your take home pay? All right. Now, a lot of this is going to be very much influenced in US terms because the US is where I'm based out of. So I don't necessarily know how it all plays out abroad. But I can tell you from my experience in the US, you're likely going to get a variation of what I'm about to share. So you're going to get there's going to be a total compensation conversation. There's going to be a salary conversation. And then you need to be realistic in what is your take home pay. Okay. So on average, for those of you who are watching me, uh, can you guess what is the average salary increase for a candidate? On average, can you guess what is the average salary increase for a candidate? Because before I give you all of the tea, I need to see where y'all are at. So, on average, can you guess what is the average increase for a candidate, especially like if you're looking to be promoted? Okay, so some of y'all are dropping some numbers in the chat. So somebody said 15%, some of y'all are saying 12, 5 between 15 and 20. So internally, if you are applying for a new role within the organization that you're currently working in, the average tends to be anywhere between 3 to 6%. Okay. And for some of us, that will look like 50 cents to $2 here in the US, right? So 3 to 5%, not very much. When you are moving into another role, depending what type of role you're going for, you can expect to see anywhere between 20 to 25, actually 10 to 15%. Our clients see anywhere between 25 to 30%, depending on the role that they're going for. But the average is internally is between 2 and 5%. And externally, it could be anywhere between 10 to 15%. And so when we're talking about negotiation, you need to be aware of realistically what's the percentage of increase that you're after. Somebody said that's less than 3K. Yeah. Realistically, what is the percentage in increase that you are after? And realistically, what is the take home pay that you are after? So when you are talking about negotiation, and this is a job that you really, really want to work with, and this is a really, really great opportunity that you are, or organization that you want to be at, you have to be aware of those aspects because I don't want you to go into a negotiation conversation upset or come out of that conversation upset because you were not aware that it can fall anywhere between 3 to 5% internally or 10 to 15% externally. So that's the first thing. The second thing when it comes to negotiation is trade-offs. You need to identify what are your trade-offs. So I want you to write that in the chat, trade-offs. Trade-offs. Okay? Because that has to be a part of the conversation, especially if an organization is very specific on what their salary is going to be. Okay. Which means like this is the salary. It is what it is. We're not going a penny above or 5 cents below. Like it is what it is. So when you are having that type of conversation, you need to be aware of what are your trade-offs. So if they're not willing to give you more in dollars, then I need you to be aware of what are your trade-offs. Okay, so if they can't give me more in dollars, but they can increase my vacation time, would that be something that I would consider? If they can't give me more in dollars, would they allow me to go hybrid if this is a 100% in office role? Could I possibly work 2 days from home and 3 days in the office, or 3 days from home and 2 days in the office? Um, if it is that they're not trying to give me any more, can I negotiate the amount that they give me into my retirement account? Like all of those things are conversations that you need to be aware of that you can have. But these are not things that most, at least from what I'm seeing, right? Because I don't want to speak for a lot of people. From what I am seeing, many candidates don't even know that these are conversations that they can have. The only thing that you're being focused on or zeroing in is salary. And sometimes salary is not the only thing. You can also ask about stock and stock options. If you are in the US, that may be something that you can ask about during that negotiation conversation. So I want you to understand that there are trade-offs to every situation, to every conversation. There are trade-offs, and if you're not aware of what that is, and salary, like the number, the certain number has to be what you make, I'm going to submit to you that you have not considered all your options. Because what's the point of making like a six-figure salary but your mind is constantly under attack, or you're constantly sick because of the stress? So I want you to think through what are your trade-offs. So if they are already at their max level when it comes to salary, but you really want to work for this company, then I would, once the time is right, that's another thing you need to be aware of, timing. Once the time is right, then you can have those negotiation conversations. If you're working with a recruiter, at some point, especially if you're a top candidate, at some point you're going to be talking with the hiring manager. If they address that topic, then that's when you broach having the trade-offs conversation. Okay. So if that was helpful for you, I want you to drop a 4 in the chat. If that was helpful for you, I want you to drop a 4 in the chat. Okay, because I feel like we're moving and grooving. I'm telling y'all are asking six-figure questions. And that's what I'm here for. Six-figure questions. Yes. We are here for it today. So, fun fact, I realized that I go live on YouTube, and I never it always like terrifies me that some of y'all are watching me in 4K, and that like makes me laugh but also stresses me out. So I hope that I look halfway decent when you catch this live. I don't know why that flew into my head. All right, next question that I got is, I'm looking for other opportunities, which in this individual's case is in other states. You mentioned removing some information off of your resume that can speak to bias. Would my current location be one of those? And if an offer is received out of state, what are some tips to help negotiating moving expenses? So that's a really great question. Y'all are too cute. Y'all are encouraging me in the chat. I love it. Thank you so much. um, but when it comes to finding a new opportunity, especially if you're going to be going out of state, I would pay attention to more than just what is happening on your resume. What connections are you making? And I know that a lot of folks get very apprehensive and nervous surrounding making new connections. And I can tell you that firsthand, because my clients get nervous when I'm like, listen, you should be making connections at least this amount of times during the week. And they're like, "Hmm." But the reason that, especially if you're looking at positions that are happening out of state, I would start following the companies that I'm interested in that are out of state. And then I would start to pay attention to who is all engaging with their content. And if I find similarities with those individuals, how can I make a connection with that, with those types of persons? So I would say not necessarily removing things off of your resume as it relates to location. I would be intentional about the connections that I'm making in the new location that I want to go to. Okay. I would be very intentional about making connections in the new location that I want to go to. And the second reason behind that is because likely those connections can then further assist you in your search. I am, as an agency owner, and even when I was in the office, I am more likely to give a interview or have a conversation with someone that like one of my team members has recommended, more than I am to just go completely cold turkey. Let's talk about reputation because I want to be clear with what I just said. So I will engage in a conversation with someone that comes recommended by an employee, but I'm also going to be very aware of who is recommending this individual. And I'm going to just let that sit right there. Okay. Because if someone who is in my agency or in my team is making a recommendation of someone that they think would be a good fit, but this individual who's making said recommendation doesn't do their own job, I'm still going to entertain the conversation. But the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. And I'm just being as honest and transparent as possible. So your reputation will precede you. And the reason why last week I told y'all not everybody should have access to you in the same way is because of that. Sometimes people will make assumptions or judgments based off of who you connected to. So let me ask you, who are you connected to? Okay. So I'm just calling a spade a spade. So if you are going to be making connections and you're looking for an opportunity outside of the current area where you live, leverage connections. Connections don't have to be weird, but they do have to be intentional. Okay. And so if you are nervous about making connections online, one of the places that I would encourage you to start is on LinkedIn. But if you're nervous about making those connections online, the reason why people get nervous is because you immediately go in for the kill. Hey, I noticed that you work at said company and I saw that they were hiring. Could you put in a good word for me? And you don't know this person from a can of paint. Let me break down for you what that looks like. Okay. So let's assume you and I go to a party and we are living our best life. Okay. Like we are dancing, we're having a great time. And out of nowhere, some randomo comes up behind you talking about let's dance. Okay. Um, and like they're trying to get closer to you, and you're like, no, I'm good. And like you keep dancing or whatever, you and your girls, like we doing our thing. And again, randomo comes and approaches you. Your first response is going to be, who are you? And back up. Okay. Because you could catch a lot of things, but you're about to catch these hands. So the reason that I give that example is because that's what it looks like and feels like when you make a connection with someone that is very one-sided and one-sided in your benefit. Because then it's like all about you. Like, come here and talk to me because I'm fly. Come here, I'm like awesome. And it's like, I don't know you from a can of paint. So stay over there. You start singing the State Farm song, like a good neighbor, stay over there. Like that's exactly what would happen. So when you are making connections, I need you to be intentional about the connections that you are making. Don't just show up in people's DMs immediately asking them for a job especially if especially if you don't have any mutual connections. Like one of the things that I share with my clients is the LinkedIn templates that I use when I'm trying to make new connections. When I am trying to go to engagements where I want to speak at, when I am trying to connect with other like-minded, smart boss women, like there's a reason why I start the way that I do before I make any request. Okay. Because of several things. Number one, they don't know who I am. Number two, I really want to get to know this person because sometimes you are making connections with people who are probably not a good fit. Okay. So you want to weigh out what your options are. So if you're in the process of moving and you're looking to move outside of state, leverage your connections, follow the companies that are in the state where you want to move to. And before you even get to a point where you apply, make sure that this is a good fit for you. And if you get to the point where they make you an offer and you want to talk about negotiating, my love, that's a whole nother live, and I'm going to encourage you to book a conversation with us because it's just too much for us to break down. But again, that's a six-figure question, and I love, love, love that you are thinking kind of ahead. The first thing that I would say is make sure that you can apply for the role. Then once you enter for an interview, then you can engage in those kinds of conversations. The last question that I got was, and this one is for folks who are currently dealing with layoffs, or they've been right sized, or their company has gone through a reorg. They're very nervous about the question, why did you leave your last role? Or can you tell us about your previous role? And they get very apprehensive about that. Couple things that I want you to be aware of. Number one, use the right language. So even if your departure from the last company that you were at was not as smooth as you intended it to be, um, you had a manager that was not necessarily the best, or whatever the situation is, when it comes to answering that question, you can talk about, well, I was impacted by a recent reorganization, or I was impacted by a recent reorganization or restructuring. And now I'm on the market looking for a new opportunity at this organization because I feel that my skill set and my abilities would be a good fit for said role. Okay. I'd never ever want you to put yourself in a position where you're speaking bad about yourself, because then why would we want to hire you? So use the language that is being used in the industry. Um, Reorganizations, restructurings, those kinds of things, like we're going to be used to hearing that, mainly because we are not immune to the fact of what we see in the news. So if you use that language, it's not going to be, oh my goodness, this was a terrible person. It's just like, oh, okay, then well, that is what we're dealing with. There's a lot of right sizing. There's a lot of reorganizations and restructuring. So use that language. That's what I would say. And divorce yourself from the fact of the reorganization. And what I mean by that is, just because there has been a decrease in workforce does not mean that there is a decrease in your value. I'm going to get real close to my cameras just so like that you can get it. Okay. Just because there has been a reduction in workforce at your organization does not mean that there is a reduction in the value that you bring. You are still hireable. You are still equipped. You are still educated. You can still do great work. Your best days are not behind you. So just because there was a restructuring and it knocked the air out of you, it does not diminish or deny the value that you bring. So I'm going to move back, okay? Because if you didn't feel that heat, I don't know how else I'm going to get it over to you. But I wanted to have like a very real moment because there's a lot of people who are hurt. And I can totally understand that because you for some of y'all like you weren't expecting that at all. And it induces panic, right? Like, what am I gonna do now? How am I gonna help my family? What like absolutely. And I don't want to diminish that. Those feelings are very valid. If you are a part of this tribe, however, I'm going to tell you this with as much love in my heart. Do not let a stage become a state. Do not let a stage become a state. You are going through a difficult stage in your life. You are not created to live in a state of difficulty. I don't know who that is for, but I hope you caught it. You are going through a difficult stage in your life, but you were not created for living in a state of difficulty. So feel all the feels, but don't let a stage become a state because we can pick that up. Oh, I'm sorry. Kay Nicole said, "You preaching." I'm telling you, I'm churchy, y'all. Listen, it's the pastor's daughter in me. But I feel like it's so necessary to encourage folks in this season because there's a lot of that happening. And I never ever want you to make decisions based off of that. Like nobody's ever going to hire me. Nobody's going to think of me as valuable. Absolutely not. There's a company out there who is still in need of your time, talent, and attention. So show up and show out. So, again, a reduction in force does not mean a reduction in your value. And please don't let a stage become a state. Um, Feel all the feels, but surround yourself with people who are going to pick you up and help you. Don't just go off of all of the crisis and panic and all of because those are the loudest voices that are taking up the space in our head, but they're not necessarily the right voices. Okay. So I hope that today this was helpful for y'all. If you've made it this far, we are looking to do something in 25. We're already starting to plan 25, my team and I, and we are trying to connect with y'all. So if you catch this live, tell us where you want us to come and check y'all out. Okay, because we might be on the road. But there's a couple things that we need to make sure that it's something that you would enjoy. We've been toying around with some ideas of bringing some of these lives and some of these teachings on the road, but we want to make sure that we come to the right places. And so 25 is going to be a year, y'all. It's going to be so good. And I know some people are like, "Girl, it's December 24, and you already talking about 25." Yes, I am, because that's just the way the CEO's brain operates. But yeah, just tell us where to come, uh where would you see good fit? Because we really want to be able to connect with our tribe. Um, like somebody said, Vienna. Ooh, baby, you taking me abroad. Okay, much to consider. Jersey, now Jersey, y'all are my neighbors. Y'all are like, I'm in New York, so that would be super dope. I just might come to the Jersey, Philly area. But yeah, so I'm gonna wrap up this live. I want you to come back and drop where we should come and visit y'all. And maybe we'll do like a Susanna tour. I don't know. That kind of has like a little ring to it. Um, but yeah, I really would love to be able to do that and connect with y'all. And it's just gonna be a great time. So make sure you're on my email list, okay? So like that you can get the details to that. And I will catch you guys on the next one. All right. I love y'all. Have the most amazing rest of your week. And thank you for rocking with me. Okay. Bye, everybody. See y'all later.